Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for the invitation. You'll hand out a box. Don't open it yet. I will give you a sign when you can open it. Okay. This is a dish called kiwitre. It's a dish from Sangoun de Jambre from L'Air du Temps, a 2 Michelin star restaurant in Egezee. And as you can guess, kiwitre, it's a combination of kiwi and oyster. How does it come that San can combine kiwi and oyster? Next is a combination made by Dominique Persone from the chocolate line in Bruges, one of the best chocolatiers in Belgium. And here he is combining chocolate with oyster, as you can see. So you have a chocolate shell and a pearl, and the pearl is filled with the ganache of a white chocolate with a puree of oysters and some vodka. So how does it come that you can combine the oyster and the chocolate? Oh. That's another. Okay, so this one is a macaron from Pierre Hermé. Pierre Hermé is quite known pâtissier in Paris, and he has a famous macaron where he combines rose, raspberry, and lychee. How does it come that these three make that nice combination? Or this one, quite familiar, your slice of bread every morning. How does it come that when you add butter to it or strawberry jam, that it makes that nice combination? So I would like to talk to you today about combinations, why they combine, and what methodology you can use to determine other combinations, how you can make new surprising dishes. So I will talk to you a little bit about the history of food pairing, then show some examples with bread, with drinks and cocktails, and show some other directions you can use with food pairing. So you all got the small box. I would like to start with a little test. So what's the aim? You close your nose, so you take your 2 fingers, close your nose, and try to open with the other hand the box. Yeah. And then you pour in the product into your mouth. Does it work? Yeah, you pour in, and then you start to taste. And what do you taste now? Some sugar, sweetness. Yeah. And now relieve your fingers from your nose, and what do you taste? Cinnamon. So it's just a little trick to show that when you're eating, the flavor, what you're smelling, it's major important. It's the smell that determines 80% of your eating experience. It's quite important to know because food pairing is only based on flavor. And as it is that important, it will explain how you can make the combinations. So the history about food pairing, it actually all started in the beginning of the 90s. I guess you're all quite familiar with the word molecular gastronomy. Well, where does the name molecular gastronomy comes from? In the beginning of the 90s, you had a lady called Elizabeth Thomas, and she is a director of a cooking school in the US, and she was invited in Sicily, in Ricci, to have a meeting, and she met a director of a center in Ricci, and they got talking, and at one moment he had the idea, okay, let's organize a meeting where we invite chefs and scientists. Okay, said the director, fine for me, but on one condition. You have to come up with a name which is similar like the other seminars, meetings we organize. And we organize molecular, biotechnology, molecular, and so the condition was to have a name with molecular, and so they came up with the name molecular gastronomy. But molecular gastronomy is not more or less than science supporting gastronomy to obtain better taste, better texture, better experience. And on the second edition, you had a scientist called François Benzi. He's the R&D manager, or he was the R&D manager from Firmenich. It's the second largest flavor house in the world. They're located in Geneva. And on the second event, at one moment he was walking in the garden of the event and he smelled jasmine. Now, for somebody working in the flavor industry, you know, jasmine contains this flavor molecule. At one moment he's thinking about indole, and he makes a jump to pork liver, because pork liver also contains indole as a flavor component. So the pork liver, you have the indole. So he thinks, well, let's mix the two together. Let's make a dish where we combine the jasmine with the pork liver. They did, and it was a very nice combination. A few years later, Heston Bloemendaal, the chef from the Fat Duck, probably quite known to you, second best chef in the world. Number 1 is El Bulli. Number 2, the Fat Duck. Number 3, no, Noma in Denmark, in Copenhagen. So Heston was experimenting in his lab with chocolate. And for the ones who like to cook, like to make pies, in chocolate pie, there's always a pinch of salt you have to add. And the reason why is that salt will decrease the bitterness and increase the sweetness. If you have fruit that's not ripe enough, salt will be a much better solution to make your fruit sweet than sugar will. So from that knowledge, he was thinking, well, I won't add salt, but I will add salty ingredients like cured duck ham, like anchovies, like caviar. And caviar and chocolate was a very nice combination. Here you have the dish, so you have the caviar and the chocolate. And Heston always wanted to know why something works, so he called to François Benzi. He came over, they analyzed the chocolate and the caviar, and what appeared that major flavor components in the caviar were also major flavor components in the chocolate. So at that time they stated a hypothesis that food, beverage can be combined with each other when they have major flavor components in common. So when you know the major flavor components of your product and of all the other products, you can determine in advance what possible combinations you can make. And to give you an example, I'll have here. So I have here a major flavor component. So I would like to invite you to have a smell and say, what does this remind you of? So smells like Go over there also so they can. Yeah, it's all the same. So this is one molecule, one flavor component present into a lot of food products, into a lot of beverages. So my question to you is, do you have any idea where it is present and what type of food product? Anybody? Yeah, you know. Yeah. It's not very typical for cherry, but quite close. It's a fruit. Yeah. Yeah, pineapple. It's typical for pineapple, and it's also typical for blue cheese. So see over here. So the blue cheese, the pineapple, and so yeah. So for example, this is a dish again from L'Air du Temps, where he built this dish all around this one molecule. So we have the gel of pineapple, we have the fourme d'Ambert, which is a blue cheese, we have the julienne of apple, the julienne of fennel, the crispy of pineapple, and the sirop de liège. So this is built all around this one molecule you are smelling. So what did we actually do? Well, different color. Yeah, it's fine. So we gather all data on flavor molecules because, as you can guess, it was known at the Fat Duck. But chefs, I don't know if you know any chefs, but they don't like chemistry at all, generally speaking. So it was not actually used a lot into gastronomy. So what did we do? We gather all data of food products, made a database, and we launched a website, foodpairing.be, in 2007 in San Sebastian on the seminar Lo Mejor de la Gastronomía, which at that time was one of the best culinary events in the world. And so all the information we had, we put it for free online. And this is a site where you, if you go to foodpairing.be, this is a site you will find. And so there are actually two main ways to use the site. The one is makes combinations, so what fits well with, the one above, and below what can replace, but we will come back to that. So on the first one, what can replace, if you, for example, choose wheat bread, so you get the bread into the center, and all around, all products that you can combine with bread. Every branch is a category, and as you can see, there are some differences in length in the category. Well, like here, you have a small one from Camembert and a much larger for butter. So the smaller the distance, the better the combination is. So appear that bread and Camembert would be a very nice combination with whiskey, with honey, with peppermint. And after this talk, I think you will have the possibility to go in the other room, and there are some. So the organizing people gathered all those products. So bread and all those products all around, so you can test yourself what combinations you can make with bread and how, if you love them or not. But all the products around you can combine. So strawberry butter with bread, a quite logical combination. So another one you see is cocoa nibs, chocolate, well, chocolate paste. So you can use them to explain existing combinations, but also to make some new ones. And we give this food pairing tree also to Jean-Yves Velmont. He's one of the most innovative bakers in Belgium. He's also present on the Flemish premises, where I come back at the end of the presentation. So what did he do? He looked at the graph and he said, okay, we have a baguette, I will add the cocoa nibs, I will make a mayonnaise of chocolate. Okay, from that point on, I can add a ham, I can add red cabbage confit, and I can add popcorn. And popcorn makes the link between everything, because the flavor components in popcorn are the same flavor components in the crust of your bread, so you improve the flavor of the crust. So it maybe looks strange, but if you taste it, and people, Jean-Yves is located in Mété, so it's not so far from Charleroi, but he has people coming especially from Brussels to his shop to buy his petit verrin, so little glasses and stuff like that. So not the classical ham and cheese sandwiches, but types like this. So we had the history, some examples with bread, and then we jump to cocktails, because if you look what's going on in the cocktail world, well, in Belgium we don't have many known bartenders, maybe from Manu, Wouters from the Sips, accepted. But if you look what's going on into the cocktail world, a lot of people, icons in the US and in Germany, are using this methodology to make totally new cocktails. So we give some examples first on beer, on Leffe. So if you do a flavor analysis, because that's what we do a flavor analysis at university, we get a whole list of flavor components. And then, so you have the flavor components, and then the concentrations, and then the flavor threshold concentration, and all which is above the flavor threshold concentration. Roughly speaking, it's more complex, but roughly speaking, we take into account. For example, you see from the three first examples that ethyl hexanoate is above the flavor threshold concentration, also isoamyl acetate. So ethyl hexanoate is typical for the peel of apple. Isoamyl acetate is typical for banana. I was in Leuven 2 days ago and I saw a kind of poster. Can you make beer smell like a banana? Well, this is a component responsible for the banana smell of beer. I also have all the smells available here present, so if you're interested in smelling all those flavors, I have them here on stage. So from that point on, you can have the ethyl hexanoate, the isoamyl acetate. So ethyl hexanoate is also typical for banana. The presentation got quite squeezed by sending through. So if you know that, so you have the banana and the pineapple, so you should not be surprised that you find into the market a banana beer and a pineapple beer, because from a food pairing perspective, it's quite logical combination. So if you then go to, for example, whiskey, then you get the same type of food pairing tree, and then, for example, you see over here licorice. This is a whiskey sour made by Tony Conigliaro. He's a last year voted best bartender in the world. He will also be present at the Flemish Primitives. And so this is whiskey sour with licorice. This is a new drink, with Scotch whiskey with strawberry, launched last year. And the increase in sales of Scotch whiskey into China and Japan is due to the fact that Japanese people add to their black tea and a little nip of Scotch. So you see black tea and Scotch whiskey, they combine with each other. So it's used by bartenders all over the world, like Audrey Saunders, Dale McGough, which are the two icons in the US on cocktails. They use that to create new cocktails. So first point was using food pairing to make new combinations. Second possibility is that you can make bridges if they don't combine. So to give you one example, yeah, something went wrong. Imagine you want to link garlic to chocolate. Well, you can't combine them. So there's a trick to find a third product which can make the link between the two others. So as you can imagine, sulfur components are important for coffee, and coffee and chocolate are both roasted. So the Maillard products like pyrazine can make the link. So if you want to combine garlic and chocolate, just yeah. What went wrong? My presentation got okay. One way is like Dominique has a chocolate where he combines garlic with chocolate, and the only way to do this is to add coffee or chicory to it. Otherwise, it will not be a good combination. The way chefs are using the site is as follows. They go, for example, to strawberry, and they see strawberry can be combined with Parmesan or other products, and then you click on them and you go then to the next. Like for example, balsamic vinegar you can combine with strawberry, so that's known. So you start with strawberry, you select balsamic vinegar. From balsamic vinegar you select, for example, licorice, and so you can make a train, which you call a train of 5 possible combinations. More than 5 is too much, but 5 is feasible. Third possibility of food pairing is that food is interchangeable. And where is it important? Well, imagine you have a food product, but the color changes when you're cooking it. There are allergens in it. You're a vegetarian and you don't want to eat meat, but you like the flavor of meat. It's too expensive. You don't find it. It's not the season. You want a low carbon footprint. Well, then you can use the second option. So if you go to the site, then you have what can replace. And for example, imagine you want to make a sauce with basil. For the people who love to cook, they know basil is changing color due to enzymes. Well, instead of using the basil, I can use flavors present into basil, because basil doesn't smell or taste like basil just because of one flavor component. No, it's a combination of different flavor molecules. And instead of using it from basil, you can search, okay, I have in my basil also the linalool. Where do I also find it? I find it in lavender. I have the cineol. I also find it in eucalyptus or in cardamom. I have the estragol. I also find it in tarragon. So instead of using basil, I can, by combining tarragon, cardamom, and lavender, recreate a flavor which is very close to what basil tastes like. So it's a tool to recreate or reconstruct products. It's done, for example, by Roger van Damme from Het Gebaar, where he has an oxtail kind of bouillon with 0 oxtail, with 0 meat in, but it tastes totally like oxtail. And then you look, okay, where can I find the components, not in oxtail, but in other products, and recreate the same by using other products. We see it popping up in the California, New York, Australia, where people actually using this site for 100 miles restaurants or low carbon footprint applications where they try to reconstruct flavors from locally. So imagine you don't have coffee or you don't have pineapple. Well, you can reconstruct the flavor by using locally products, by using the website. For example, pandan leaf, maybe not known. I saw it, it's present in the room next door. Cocktails with pandan leaves, difficult to find. Well, you go to the website. For pandan leaves, there's one flavor component which is important, so you only see one line, and you see pandan leaves, oh, I can replace it by popcorn. So you just replace the pandan leaves by popcorn, and you have the same, almost the same effect. Okay, so food pairing can be used for 3 possible directions. Is one, to make new combinations. Second one, to make trains, or if you want to combine products which doesn't combine with each other. And 3, you can replace a food product by a combination of other products.